Thank you. Okay, so basically what we're going to talk about is things that you probably don't know about in your Tanda account, things that can help you use Tanda to its full potential, right? So the topics that we'll really talk about here are locations and teams, using demand data to make better rosters, streamlining your employee business, employee experience, lead balance, and automatic breaks roster validations. So we'll start off with Adam, then go through to Renee, and then I'll finish that off. Yeah, that's actually a good point. So in the room at the moment, what kind of field do we have? Do we have, how many people here are operations? Just a show of hands. And how many people are payroll? What's everyone else? Cool. So it looks like we have a bit of both there, so that's good. So we'll cover a bit of that. Pass it over to you, Renee.
Thanks, Alex. So I'm going to talk about two things. So firstly, locations and teams within your Tanda account, and secondly, using demand data to roster better. And so these are two things that I've found that people who've been particularly successful with Tanda both implement really well. And it's a common theme across a lot of the people that I've worked with, both in the past, in the customer success side of things, and also developing a product as well. So to get this point across, I'm going to be sharing a story about one of my recent visits to a customer of ours. So this is near Renee Villas and Spa up in Port Douglas. Absolutely beautiful location if you get a chance to check it out. But I was up there recently, dropped in to kind of see how they did things, learn a little bit more, and see what extra value I could give with those guys. So firstly, for locations and teams, why you should use it. So the best part is that you get to know your business and understand the different parts of your business, understand your cost centres, and get everybody working as a team. So I'll jump straight into how Niramaya do this. They have two very distinct parts of their business. So they have the main villas and spa area, and they've also got the maintenance area. So they've got massive grounds, lots of really high-class villas, and so they're almost their own separate team. And that's run by their maintenance manager, a guy called Jeff. So they've split their teams up really well here. So two very distinct parts of their business, both driven by very different things. And then within these, they split up their teams as well. So within the first part of the business, in the villas and the spa area, they have specific roles. So there's housekeeping, there's reception, and both are driven by very different things as well. Reception, again, is driven mainly by the number of arrivals they have on a day for the business, whereas housekeeping, the demand is driven by the data. But what they're able to do is set that up, have the different staff allocated in different areas, have managers for both, and know exactly who's working where and at what time. And this is also a cost centre for them, so they're both different cost centres and both depending on different things. And what they do is they're able to match fees up with their payroll directly. So at the end of the week or at the end of the fortnight in this case, this information comes across from their housekeeping department and the reception departments and into their payroll software. So they use Reckon, I think they use payroll items or something similar, Reckon's class items, their job codes in MYOB or tracking categories in Xero as well. And then what I was working on with them while I was there is tying their rostering for these really well categorised areas of their business into their demand data. So I mentioned before that they're driven both on two very different things. Reception in particular, driven by arrivals, housekeeping driven by departures. And so what I did with these guys is got their housekeeping demand into Tanda. So you can see here, so what we did is they have 6 departures. So that's just for the whole day here, or 6 departures that need to be serviced within this time period. And so I was telling them how many staff they need. And so you can see they've rostered their staff here and showing them if they're over or under. I skip forward. So the main benefits here are you're rostering the right number of people, and they've got specific KPIs. So if they've got, say, 8 departures on a day, and they've got 8 arrivals coming to fill those departures between 10 and 2, they need to have the right number of staff on, especially if you're paying a premium price for a really nice location. You don't want to be waiting half an hour for your room if you're a little bit behind. And obviously they're not going to go over budget, so they're not just going to throw 10 people on and finish those rooms in 4 hours. And so for your demand data, it's not always sales. Traditionally, what we've done a lot has been sales data, but we make ourselves pretty easy to integrate with, so you can get different things. So your departures, your arrivals, anything that drives demand within your business. So it might be a number of, like a restaurant might have a number of covers, you might have a number of appointments, lots of different things. We've got a generic CSV importer that you can use. We integrate with a number of point of sale softwares. We've got an open API and a couple of different integrations for the more tech savvy of you. I can use it. So it's just a simple thing of matching that demand. So the near May departures, which is the data here, matching that up with exactly where it matches to within Tanda and going from there. And then you can see here, as we add or we remove shifts, so I'm removing a shift here, you'll see it goes back and it tells you you've got exactly the right number of staff on, but you're still understaffed at the end of the day. Yeah, pretty much it. And that's it for me. I'll pass it to Alex. Oh, Renee.
Cool. Thanks, Adam. First of all, I'll just preface this by saying I don't have my glasses because they're locked in the cloakroom. So I can't really read very well, so I'll do my best. Cool, so the first feature that I wanted to talk about today was our employee onboarding. So I just wanted to find out, does anyone know what this is, know what this feature looks like in Tanda? A few people? Okay, cool. So basically we realised there's a problem with bringing new staff into the business. There's a lot of paperwork that goes on with this, there's a lot of manual data entry, it's very difficult to do. So we thought we were in a really good position to build a feature around it that could make it a lot easier, both for employees, but also for the managers and the people like Lauren here doing all the entry. So Lauren is, I think she's the general manager of a Pandora store in the city. So they're a very seasonal business. Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, very, very busy. They bring on a lot of staff during those periods. That was just the paper for Mother's Day, to bring on the staff. Massive pain in the ass. So it's, I guess, for people like this, which is why we built this feature, no one likes paperwork. Does anyone here like paperwork? No. So generally, to bring on a new person in your business, a new young employee, this is the sort of the forms that you have to fill out. So I did that for effect. But generally these forms, 6 pages, 1 to 2 pages, 7 pages, including information that employee has to try to read and understand when they've got no idea, especially if they're a young employee. And then they've got to try to fill out these forms. And I don't know about everyone here, but when I was doing it, I was like, I don't know, what does this even matter? Like, who cares? Tick this box. No one really knows. They'll make mistakes and it'll sort of impact maybe the way that their super's getting paid or the tax, but no one's really telling them. The other really annoying part of this is if you make a mistake on your tax file number and then you give it to the admin person in the business and then they've got to fill it out and then they realise that it's wrong and then you've got to go back to them and it just takes a lot of time. So yeah, we saw a big opportunity here of how we can make this better with the Tanda Employee Onboarding app. So basically what this app does is takes all of those forms, all of that data entry, and puts it in a neat little app that an employee gets. Basically you just send an employee an invitation when they join the business, even before they start. And we've specifically designed it so that filling out all of these different things is easy, and we sort of have figured out where people struggle or maybe make mistakes around tax file declarations and things like that, and we've offered warnings and made it easier. So for managers, obviously no paperwork, no data entry, seamless hiring process that takes a second to send off. Basically, so the way that it works is the employee fills it out, it pulls back the data into Tanda and sends it straight to your payroll system. So I think we were talking to someone once and she was like, oh, this is really cool, and then I went to, I saw it in Tanda, I went to go enter it into my op, and it was already there. Simple as that. No double entry, no data entry for the managers. And it's free with your normal Tanda subscription as well. So for employees, again, we try to take a balanced approach here. We want to sort of make things that are better for both parties. So, people don't like paperwork, they don't want to have to fill it out, it's annoying, especially when you start at a brand new, you're really excited, you want to get into training, you want to get stuck in, and then here's 10 forms to fill out. that sucks. So basically you can send this to your employees ahead of time, get them to fill it out, so when they start they can hit the ground running. And also another thing is we help them find their super information, which often people have no idea about. So the way that you do this in your Tanda account, you go add staff, you click the employee onboarding option. You basically just enter their name and email address and phone if you want. Cool. They get sent this email. So this is quite a nice experience. Hey, welcome to wherever they work here, Ray's Restaurant. We sort of provide them information to sort of tell them this is what this email is for, this is what the link is for, just to sort of prep them. Get started, big green button, pretty simple. This is what it looks like. So it'll come pre-filled with your name and email address based on what your employer has put in. Simple, they just go through the steps. You know, it's mobile first design, so it's designed to be done on a mobile, not on a computer. They'll get their emails to their phone, they'll simply fill it out in a couple of minutes. Another thing that people stuff up, their address, so we make it really easy. And yeah, you sort of just go through one by one. I didn't want to put my bank details on here, but you just sort of go through one by one. We try to again make it as easy as possible so that people don't make a mistake, so that it can be done really quickly. And I think we've heard from people that I think the quickest someone's filled this entire thing out is in 2 minutes. That's roughly between 2 and 10 minutes to get all this paperwork done. So that's nice and simple. Cool. So the next feature, I guess, is a couple of features for me. This is more, I guess, I want to showcase. Hold the mic closer. Sorry, I'm really bad at it. I want to showcase a couple of things that we use at Tanda, and just a couple of simple things, simple ways you can use Tanda to try to improve employee experience and make things a little bit fun. So, employees who feel more engaged with their workplace are going to be more motivated, more productive, and happier at work. It's pretty simple. So some simple things that you can do to kind of improve this employee experience, make people feel more connected and sort of build those relationships. We've got here under our tools our birthday calendar. So here's all the Tanda staff. As you can see, we're pretty young. But so what you have here is our ages and our employment anniversaries. And you can basically click this thing up here and sync this with your Google Calendar. So basically, I've got in my Google Calendar employment anniversaries for everyone on my team, birthdays, and then we kind of, it's a good reminder, because you do forget. It's a good reminder, you can kind of wish them a happy birthday or do something special to celebrate their tenure, whatever it is. It's just like something really simple to remind you, and you can build little events around it as well. Recently we released Happy Panda, Birthday Panda in the app. So we realised that, you know, people like to feel good on their birthday, so this will pop up on the app when it's their birthday. You have to say that's cute. Just small things like that. The other one is, I heard recently, using the clock-in photos to do a selfie of the week competition. So we've got our Ben & Jerry's stores doing that, so I thought that was pretty funny. Punctuality leaderboards, I guess just trying to make a little bit of fun out of clocking in for work. And the other thing is our app. So you will hear us harping on over the next 2 days about our app, because we're very excited about it. But basically this is, for us, you know, we've never really gone about building tools or building product directly for employees. It's always been for managers and everything like that. So the app for us is a way where we can help employees feel more connected by giving them tools and information. Basically everything they need to know about work is going to be in this app, and eventually there's going to be manager features as well. Shift swapping, time off. So yeah, that's me. Thanks.
Thank you, Renee. So here's the point of all this, is that these are very cool features that we hope that everyone uses. They're in the app, we put time into making them, and you know, when we make these things, we really see, like, people tell us why they want and why they need them, and it's just stuff that will benefit every business. So my examples as well is, for example, lead balances. Now, this one comes from a bit of a weird background, but essentially it's more around that not all systems or payroll systems, accounting systems actually have the ability to integrate with other systems well. They have to use files, transfer, and stuff like that. So that's why we came up with lead balances in Tanda. So some may know if you use Zero or Live or something that is a live system, we actually are able to bring balances in. For those who don't, who may have something that looks as horrible as this somewhere in the CSV or keeps it somewhere else or tries to track it in their head, which people do, it's not a good time. So we're just trying to solve for that. So some examples of like what we can solve for this is, well, one, there's different types of lead balances, whether it's like you work in Tanda that may have a fully opening balance that's a reset of a year, so you start off with 100 hours and then you use that throughout the year and it resets yearly, or as an hourly accrual based on how often you work, or it's a balance that you can accrue over time, you keep accruing, whether it's hours or days. We are actually now able to do this. And it's something that I think businesses should definitely use if they've currently got that method of just keeping it inside of their heads or in their payroll system. But also because, one, we're actually able to accrue that in Tanda as well. So what this means is it's an updating balance that your employees have access to, your managers have access to, and they're able to approve leave quicker without having to consult something else. The employees can submit leave that they know that they're actually going to get approved for. It's live, so as I submit my leave balance, that will affect my leave balance. My leave balance will accrue once I work those hours, depending on how you set that up. And it's just very empowering for users. So that's one really cool feature that I particularly like. There's a really detailed article on our help site as well, if you want to check that out, about how you can configure any of these balances. And here's just a little screenshot of it. So this is setting up the leave. This is annual leave. So let's just say we're going to accrue it at that rate. So you can set Tanda to start accruing it. You can load balances in, so you can do this via a CSV upload, or you can manually enter it in for the first time. And then finally, the employee or manager goes to do the leave. They can go in here, they can select it all. They've got the balances in there that will be updating as the employee managers use the system.
And they'll also show for employees in the app, so they'll see their own balance.
Correct. So this is all through Tanda. Another one is, I've labeled it auto validation, but what it really is roster validation. So we have a multi-level roster validation, which I'll show you, and we also have automatic breaks. So why do you need this? Essentially, well, I'm sure you've all seen Fair Work's massive guides on how things work. So for example, less than 4 hours, and 4 hours but less than 5 hours, but 5 hours but less than 9 hours, but 9 hours and more give you different breaks and rest periods. So how are you supposed to handle that? Or even better, fatigue management requirements. You have ordinary days of work, span of hours, rostering days off, rest between breaks. You have all these different requirements that you're supposed to meet. Tanda is providing a tool that allows you to actually meet those requirements. So so essentially you're going to ensure that your breaks are actually accounted for. People are taking the breaks at the right time, they're being rostered on for the right times. You're meeting those EBA or modern award requirements. You get to actually make sure that fatigue management rules are met, whether it's a manager is actually applying those correctly, or if you are a manager that you are actually doing it correctly, you're not making any mistakes, and the employees are actually getting that benefit of being able to have what they're entitled to. And it'll be all automatic based on whatever rule sets you set up. So what does this look like? So this is the breaks. So for example, we've created a casual tag, and we're going to say we can have after 3 hours you get 30 minutes, and then after 5.5 hours you get 60 minutes. Simple as that. And then you can set one up for full-timers. You can change that based on any of your tags, so whether you have it different for full-timers, casuals, shift workers, apprentices, whatever it might be, you can set those up, and you can create as many as you need, depending on whatever the requirements are. So that's for your breaks. Another one we have is for your roster validation. So for example, this is all the different requirements that can be met. So for casuals, you can set up for ages as well. But you have max shift length, you have minimum shift length, minimum hours between shifts, earlier start time, later start time, max shifts per week, max hours per week, max shifts per day, max number of hours per day. So there's a lot there, and essentially you can configure whatever you need to do to make sure that you're actually meeting these requirements and it can just be a thought of the past. You don't have to worry about it all the time.
And basically you'll get one of those red warnings on the roster when you're sort of, yes.
Yeah, so as you're actually looking at the roster, this comes up like as a flag. So that way you can actually see or point to what shifts are affected. You'll be able to make those changes. We'll tell you how to make those changes, what you actually need to action inside of your roster. All right. Got a couple of questions.
So if you don't have it or you do have any questions, best to put them through the Hover app, because if we can't get to them now, we can message you about them later as well. One question is, does accruing leave include leave that I don't want to export, so like time off in lieu, or like RDO time?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see if I can jump back to show you the leave form. But essentially, on your leave form, the accrual option, I just for anyone who missed that question as well, so it's basically, if you don't want to export it, there is an option, I've lost it now, there was an option that says do not export. So you could set it up that this is how I want this leave to be accrued, so that's a non-paid leave type or doesn't need to go to the accounting system, payroll system. You can set that up, whatever those requirements are that it needs to meet, and once you've got them in there, you can then just say do not export, and that's just in Tanda, and it doesn't affect anything else.
Okay, next question from Francis. How do you customize forms for employee onboarding?
We don't yet.
Yeah, so yeah. No, we can't yet. I know there's a few requirements, so in hospitality it's particularly common, I guess in medical as well, it would be very common that you need to have certain things, so you might want people to submit a copy of their RSA or like their RSG for hospitality off the top of my head. Don't have that at the moment, it's just a standard form. There's been a lot of interest in it.
We've got a feedback board. We've got a feedback. We've got a feedback board, public feedback board where you can sort of put up ideas just like that, and we can vote on them, and we use that to prioritise our roadmaps. So I think there's something about that already on there. If there's not, post it, otherwise vote for it. And it's really good if you can comment on there as well and let us know, I guess, why you want this certain feature, what use case it solves. That helps us and the product team.
You can also track it on there. So once we do start making it or anything like that, you can actually track its progress from that board. It'll email you where it's up to, what it's doing, everything like that. Yeah.
And I can post a link to it in the event for this afterwards as well, so that has a list of all our upcoming features, what's planned, what's going to happen, what's been done.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
I thought the breaks that if you're on a ward, it would automatically comply with the award in terms of the breaks.
So for anyone that didn't hear that, it's basically if you set an award in, like how does Tanda set the breaks in? So essentially, when you set your award, it sets the default in. So normally it would be, for example, after 5.5 hours, you get a 30-minute break. This is for more complex setups and stuff like that, where you need various things for like fatigue management or whatever it might be.
Good, okay, so I'm going to work with that. I've got a couple of questions, but I'll rattle them off. Leave balances looks great. Do you do that for New Zealand? Because it's got a particularly complicated way of calculating the leave, which is doing our heading. And if Tanda could do it rather than zero, that might be quite helpful.
Yeah, the only thing I've come across from New Zealand that's quite difficult to get right is the statutory holiday. So you can pretty much do, like, because I know New Zealand does hours and days, you can enter that in, but however, if, like with the statutory holiday accrual, it will struggle there. It's probably the same as zero.
Okay.
We can probably talk about that after as well. If there's a particular thing you want to set up, we can try and set it up together.
Alright, and with your onboarding tool, do you issue a Fair Work information statement automatically through the onboarding tool to new employees?
I'm pretty sure it was linked. Yeah, it's linked in that first email that they get.
Yep. Okay.
So, another one on onboarding. So how does super forms work in employee onboarding? With employees choosing their own super fund, does this integrate anywhere? Yeah, I'll take that one. So,
I was thinking,
yeah. So we have a few different options with superannuation. So there's a superannuation fund you can set up through us as well. So us is the default. They can choose their own default. They can enter their own self-managed super fund. And then go from there. So that information does go through to Xero automatically. So with the super fund, the USI and the different information there. With MYOB, it doesn't go through automatically, but you can see all of that information in Tanda as well. And last one, here's an easy way to handle pay breaks, or is it still just nulling them out? From Colleen. Yeah, so better handling for pay breaks was one of Alex's announcements earlier. It's on the way, so we're looking at doing multiple breaks first, and then better handling for pay breaks as well later on in the year. Yeah, with the idea to support pay breaks a lot better. Right. So we might leave it there. Thanks for coming, everyone. If you have any questions, hit us up in the app and we can chat to you directly as well.